Did you know? These are the worst hurricanes in the world which cause massive destruction that no one can ever imagine. The Great Galveston Hurricane, 1900, the deadliest hurricane in U.S. history. Imagine the year is 1900 and you live in Galveston, Texas. It's a busy port city, bustling with people and trade. But one fateful September day, the sky turns dark, the winds howl, and a massive hurricane hits without much warning. The Great Galveston Hurricane is the deadliest hurricane in U.S. history. With winds reaching 140 miles per hour, it completely devastated the city. Over 8,000 people lost their lives as storm surges swept through homes and buildings, leaving the town in ruins. Back then, there were no early warning systems, so the people of Galveston had no idea how bad it would be. The storm is still remembered today as one of the worst natural disasters in American history. I'm pretty sure you've heard about the destruction that Hurricane Katrina caused in 2005. A modern-day tragedy, Hurricane Katrina is a name that instantly brings to mind images of flooding, chaos, and heartbreak. In August 2005, Katrina roared across the Gulf Coast, making landfall in Louisiana and Mississippi. It wasn't just the wind that made Katrina deadly. It was the storm surge and the failure of the levee systems in New Orleans that caused widespread flooding. Over 1,800 people lost their lives and large parts of New Orleans were left underwater. The city's poorest communities were hit hardest, and the disaster response was slow and criticized. Katrina became not only a symbol of nature's power, but also a reminder of how human error and lack of preparedness can turn a storm into a humanitarian crisis. Who would have expected there would be the most deadly hurricane in the Atlantic? In October 1780, the Caribbean was hit by a monstrous storm now known as the Great Hurricane of 1780. This hurricane is considered the deadliest in Atlantic history, claiming an estimated 22,000 lives. What made this hurricane so destructive wasn't just the storm itself, but the timing. It struck during the American Revolutionary War, when both British and French fleets were sailing through the Caribbean, and many ships were destroyed in the storm. Entire islands were flattened, and the death toll was staggering, making it one of the darkest moments in Caribbean history. Though hurricanes are known in the Atlantic, similar storms called typhoons strike the Pacific. In November 2013, Typhoon Haiyan, one of the strongest storms ever recorded, smashed into the Philippines. Winds reached over 195 miles per hour, and a massive storm surge swept through coastal cities. Over 6,300 people died, and millions were displaced as homes, buildings, and infrastructure were wiped out in a matter of hours. The scale of destruction was so severe that it took years for the region to recover. Haiyan is remembered not just for its strength, but for the global response and humanitarian aid that poured into the Philippines in the storm's aftermath. Reshaping Florida before Katrina, there was Hurricane Andrew. In August 1992, Andrew barreled into Florida, packing winds of up to 165 miles per hour. Entire neighborhoods in Miami were flattened, leaving behind scenes of utter destruction. Over 65 people died, and the damage was estimated at $27 billion, making it one of the costliest hurricanes in U.S. history at the time. Andrew changed how we prepare for hurricanes. It led to stricter building codes in hurricane-prone areas and improved early warning systems, ensuring that future storms would not catch people off guard in the same way. Throughout history, hurricanes have reminded us of nature's raw, uncontrollable power. From ancient tales of storm gods to modern scientific tracking, we've come a long way in understanding and preparing for these storms. But as history shows, even with all our knowledge, hurricanes can still surprise us, and their impacts can be devastating. Each of these storms, from the Great Galveston Hurricane to Hurricane Katrina, has taught us valuable lessons about survival, preparation, and the importance of community in the face of disaster. While we can't stop hurricanes from forming, we can continue to learn from the past to protect ourselves and be better prepared when the next storm arrives.